fall asleep and your head bobs and you wake up and you fall asleep and your head bobs, that will no longer be a problem for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Breus, the Sleep Doctor, and welcome. Here are some tips for what I do to get great sleep on an airplane. So to be fair, the easiest place to fall asleep on an airplane is in first class. Now, if that's not part of your budget, and neither is business class, let's talk about why it's so difficult to fall asleep in the back end of the plane. So first of all, it depends upon where your seat is. My favorite website to check out seats on airplanes is called seatguru.com. You should check it out. It gives you a red light, yellow light, green light, so it tells you if there's going to be a lot of crowds, like near the lavatory or down by the galley, things like that. Of course, many people prefer the window seat for sleeping because you can kind of lean your head against the fuselage and that makes it a little bit easier. But if you're over 6'2", you're going to be cramped in that little seat. You're probably going to need an aisle seat to be able to stretch out a little bit. If you can get the bulkhead or the exit row, obviously there's a lot more room for your feet there. And of course that cart is going to come by in the middle of the flight. So if your feet are out there, they might get knocked around a little bit. So something to think about as well. But the real problem is that you're sitting up straight. I'm sitting up straight right now and my heart has to beat and be able to pump my blood through my system opposing gravity because gravity wants to pull it all down. Well, when you're lying flat, guess what? Your heart rate doesn't have to be as strong. Most people don't know this, but you need a heartbeat of about 60 or below in order to enter into a state of sleepiness. But when you're sitting up, for many people, their heart rate can't actually get that low. This is one of the reasons why people say it's impossible for them to fall asleep on an airplane. Another reason why a lot of people unfortunately use alcohol to help them out. Alcohol, while it makes you feel sleepy, actually keeps you out of the deeper stages of sleep. So for many people, when they're drinking alcohol on the airplane, the sleep that they're getting is not particularly good sleep. And when they wake up at their destination, they're not particularly refreshed in the morning. So sitting up makes it quite difficult. Not impossible, but makes it difficult. So what is a wary traveler supposed to do? There's a lot of different things that you can do. Number one, I bring a sleep kit with me on the airplane. I have several items in that kit. I have eye shades, I have earplugs, I have compression socks, especially for long flights that helps keep the blood from pooling in your legs. I also on my phone have meditation and relaxation to listen to. One of the things that I've discovered is that while on an airplane, if you can lower that heart rate by either using something like the 4-7-8 breathing technique or progressive muscle relaxation or just listening to a meditation, as your heart rate slows, it makes it much easier to fall asleep. You ever have one of those pillows and you fall asleep and your head bobs and you wake up and you fall asleep and your head bobs and wake up? If you pull this around with the thick part under your chin, that will no longer be a problem for you. I also recommend earplugs. Now, to be fair, you can get really heavy-duty earplugs for airplanes. When you're at home, you want earplugs that are noise level rated at about 32 or below. That way you can still hear the fire alarm. But on an airplane, you really don't have to worry about that. So you can get higher grade earplugs to really drown out some of that noise. We've been talking about travel, let's talk about jet lag. To be clear, jet lag is a huge problem for almost any traveler who's traveling over 3 time zones. Now, a lot of you out there might say to yourself, wait a second, what's this guy talking about? I can travel and I don't have a problem with it. But on your return, maybe you do. It turns out that the direction that you travel has a huge effect on whether or not jet lag affects you personally. I use this little phrase, east is least and west is best. So when you're traveling in an eastward direction, you're actually asking yourself to go to bed super early. Like if I told you to go to bed at 5 o'clock this afternoon, you might be able to lie down, but you probably wouldn't be able to fall asleep. West is best because all we're doing when we travel west is asking our bodies to stay up later. So if I asked you to stay up until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, you could probably do it without many problems. That's the real difference, is the direction of travel has a huge effect on jet lag. Now also a couple other things that you need to know. Your body will self-adjust to each time zone 1 day per time zone. So if you travel over 15 time zones and you're only gonna be there for 10 days, I really don't recommend waiting it out. I recommend looking at something called Timeshifter. So Timeshifter is an app that I helped develop and it's amazing. It uses a schedule of caffeine, napping, melatonin, and light therapy to reconnect your circadian cycles in whatever your new time zone is and completely get rid of jet lag. But to be fair, it's a complicated algorithm and a complicated process. I don't recommend doing it on your own. I will tell you, however, that many people have asked me questions about jet lag diets. I've never seen any data to suggest that any of those diets will actually be effective in reducing your jet lag. Also, to be clear, when you're trying to reduce jet lag, you really want to avoid things like alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, anything that you might be utilizing when you get to your destination, because that will definitely throw off your sleep cycle quite a bit. In summary, go to sleepguru.com and figure out what seat you want. Make your own sleep kit, and I suggest bringing it with you. And if at all possible, if you can get up to business class or first class, you're definitely going to get better sleep there. But hopefully I've given you enough tips so you can sleep just about anywhere on the plane. Yeah, 7:23. You ready for the next one?